All right, everybody, we're joined now by head coach Charles Huff from Marshall. Coach Huff, would you give us an opening statement on spring practice?
Yeah, well, appreciate being on. We are right at practice number 11. So we're moving along pretty good. Really impressed with how our team has really embraced the entire off season and spring. The things that you kind of go through in year one and year two of teaching them how to practice and how to prepare, and those things you're starting to see more readily, even with an influx of freshmen and transfers that have come in. Really impressed with the competitive back and forth. Defensively, we've got a lot of guys who are returning, who've played a lot of football for us at a really high level. Offensively, we were younger last year, not necessarily by class, but just by playing experience. And a lot of those guys are back. And right now, you're starting to see in practice the back and forth. Big play by defense, big play by the offense, and it's not a lack of consistency. It's just guys are making plays. So really impressed with that. Obviously, we got a long way to go before we actually start keeping score. But we're making really good strides. Really impressed with where we are.
All right, let's go over to Luke for our first question.
Coach, in the era of college football where you're starting to see some former players' sons come through college football, whether that's, guys you have on your roster or Frank Gore Jr. at Southern Miss, Marvin Harrison Jr. at Ohio State, how do you encourage those kids to kind of pave their own path and not necessarily, be bogged down by what their parents did, as
Yeah, it's tough because you guys compare them to their dads every day. So you guys make it really tough on us coaches to try to get them to improve and manage what they can manage. But no, obviously it's part of it, right? Most of those kids have grown up in a world where their whole life they've been the son of, so they've grown up in a different, scenario for a lot of kids. I think the biggest thing is managing expectations, with them one-on-one, and also being honest about, hey, there's an expectation that you got to have for yourself. There's an expectation that you got to have in-house, and you really got to block out the noise. Obviously, we've got some legacy kids on our team whose parents played a really significant role here. And when the time comes, their kids will have their opportunities to pave their own way. But teaching them to understand, hey, you got to be patient, you got to be ready, and you got to understand that you're evaluating yourself. You're not compared to your dad's stats or your dad's production, or, obviously you have his bloodline and your mom's bloodline, but you got to go pave your own way. And a lot of those kids who have that kind of legacy or that shadow over them have kind of already built a tough skin because they've lived life like that, where they've been the high school player of. And you just got, excuse me, you just got to keep talking to them about it. Keep talking to them, keep showing them where they're making progress, keep showing them, hey, this is where you are. And I think ultimately, they get a chance to be their own player or their own student athlete or whatever it may be.
Let's go on over to Noah.
Coach, last year, Henry Colombi was your starting quarterback. At the beginning of the season, Cam took over at the end of the year, played well down the stretch. He's competing, it sounds like, with Cole Pennington a little bit this offseason. Is this Cam's job to lose? Do you expect him to be that week one starter at this point?
Yeah, I mean, if we had to play today, Cam would obviously be the starter. I mean, Cole is making progress, but again, it's not. Again, if his last name wasn't Pennington, I'm not sure everyone would be making it as a competition as it is. Yes, there is, some competition and growth. I talk to the guys and I'm honest, right? If we had to play today, it would be Cam, right? Cam was in the same situation last year, where he was, getting better, but not really ready. There's a lot more to do than just kind of throwing the football. There's a lot that goes into it. Cam and Cole and all the other guys kind of on our quarterback roster there are different, so some of the things that we would do with each one of them are different. Some of the things, the benefits that Cam gives you with the ability to move kind of cleans up some issues that you may have at other positions or whatever it may be. Some of the things that Cole and Cade and some of those other quarterbacks in the room give you, clean up some issues. So I think the biggest thing for us is trying to find out. I tell the guys all the time, before you can be the starting quarterback, you got to be the number 2 quarterback. Because in order to be the number 2 quarterback, you got to understand patience. You got to understand preparation. You got to understand, taking it one step at a time. You got to understand competing. Then you can compete for the starting role. And I think that's where we are now. I do think that there are some guys making progress. A big part of it, it's practice 11, so it's still some evaluating to do as far as our installs and things that we want to be able to put in. I think a big part of it is going to be what they do this summer. Do they go back and watch all the film from the spring, say, hey, this is where I need to improve? Do they get faster? Do they get stronger? And then are they taking the opportunity to grow this summer? Hey, are they out throwing with the receivers? Are they out, calling, the offense up and making them, do some one-on-one routes or whatever it may be to show that being the quarterback of a team is bigger than just, standing behind the center and clapping your hands. You got to be that leader. So when you step in that huddle, you step on that field, the unit respects the presence that you have and ultimately plays at a higher level.
Yeah. Quick follow-up, just the offense. Obviously, you guys won't have Corey Gamage this year. Who are some guys that during spring practice have kind of stepped up in that wide receiver room that maybe you're excited about heading into the fall?
Yeah. Talik Keaton's back. He got injured, towards the middle of the year there. So he's back. He's another veteran presence that has done some really good things. Brian Robinson battled some injuries last year that kind of hampered him a little bit. He's back healthy, kind of looking like the Brian Robinson that we anticipated. Caleb McMillan is back again. He got injured probably about midway through the year, so he kind of battled back. And then, some guys that we recruited, I know in this transfer portal world, we forget that we still recruit high school guys, but the Caleb Coombs and that world of guys, are starting to make some progress. And again, I think it's going to be a combination of guys, and ultimately, we'll settle into some, true positions and true, you're the X, you're the Z, you're the Y. Right now, we're trying to, basically have them drink water of a fire hose and, hey, play every position, play this position, because obviously at this level, you want your best players on the field, and that week 1 may be different than week 6, so a guy that's playing inside slot receiver may have to move outside or vice versa. So I feel really good about the room as a whole. I talked to one reporting group after practice, and we're catching more balls than we did last year. I know that sounds very simplistic for the wide receiver group, but there's not as many balls on the ground. And I think that's a competitive, kind of balance. And I think it's, guys improving.
All right. Thanks, Coach Huff. We appreciate the time today.
Thanks.